Hey folks, Sean here, and I have Chris Presta, fellow personal trainer, an FMS instructor, and he's a certified kettlebell strength sport instructor. He's going to give me a little bit of information in regards to training, nutrition, and hopefully busting up some myths. Thanks a lot, Chris, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Good. First question I want to ask you is the FMS system. If someone wanted to start training with you, what are some of the benefits of running someone through a functional movement screen, and why would they want to go that route instead of not going that route?
Well, the thing I love about the functional movement screen is, a little bit of history is basically it's designed to assess more or less the potential for injury in terms of athletes.
Nice.
Based on their functional movement patterns. So if there's pattern deficiencies, then the screen is designed to expose those weaknesses and those inefficiencies in movement, and then basically come up with a solution and a game plan in terms of how we're going to get them back to a more functional state. So we're looking for things like inability to perform the movement, definitely pain associated with any movements, or asymmetries. And those are definitely severe red flags that are going to tell us, is the potential for injury very high. Now that being said, although it's designed basically for athletes, it's very applicable to everybody because everybody's should be, if they're not already, should be concerned with preventing injury. In the winter time here in Barrie, we have some pretty harsh winters. You could slip and fall and really severely hurt yourself. So if you're moving as functionally as possible, you're going to lessen the risk of injury.
Nice.
And I believe that we're all really, inherently we're athletes. We're all designed to move in very similar movement patterns. So if we're training those basic movement patterns and making them as efficient and as optimal as possible, then it's a win-win for everybody.
Perfect. Yeah, that's going to be my next question. So, what are some of the screens? Because obviously squatting is a pattern we all do. There's I see in the gym we do a lot of crawling. We do a lot of like pushes and pulls. What are some of the just some of the screens that you would run somebody out of?
So the screens are going to basically assess competency in terms of mobility and stability. So different movements are asking more or less of mobility and stability of, let's say, hips, spine. Overhead squat is a great example of one of the movement patterns that we assess. Also we're looking at basically left side versus right side, so shoulder mobility. If a shoulder is moving very well on one side and not well on the other side, that's going to be a huge red flag. Why is that happening? What is happening on one side that's not able to happen on the other side, and
Right.
that's going to tell us whether the risk for injury is high. So that's something that we need to address
Excellent.
at a base level kind of thing.
Good. Good answer. Really good answer. Perfect. All right. So the next question I have is going to be in regards to nutrition. You're a father of 3, very busy man. What are some of the habits you're trying to instill in your girls at a young age? And obviously in the hopes of them carrying through, starting a habit and making lifelong healthy choices. So what are some of the habits you sort of push them into?
Habits that's a great word, because habits, as we all know, can be negative predominantly or predominantly positive. So I think that there's always going to be sort of cheat meals or cheat days. Let's say there's always going to be birthday parties with pizza and cake, and there's always going to be events where the ice cream truck goes by our neighborhood all the time. It seems like. So there's going to be occasions where kids are going to indulge in things that are not that healthy for them, but they're fun. So they're sort of nourishing their emotional side as well. I think that with my kids, what I really try to do is, at every chance I get, we try to really pack the nutrition in. So if there's an opportunity to add something to a recipe, not because of the way it tastes, maybe just because of the fact that it's just pure nutrition. A good example would be throwing spinach into smoothies. My kids love smoothies. they would not be able to tell you whether there was spinach in a smoothie or not. So I mean, that's a great opportunity to throw some spinach in. You get some greens in there, and it's a perfect opportunity. Another thing I love is our hemp hearts. So when we're having maybe yogurt and berries and some granola, throw some hemp hearts in there. They don't like it when I do, so if they see that, then they don't like it, so I have to sort of sneak that in. But there's other foods that they do know that I add in, and they know that they're healthy, and that's all that's, as a parent, I think that's all I can do now is just sort of add those in. They don't need to understand the why just yet, but they need to know that, even when we have, when we have snacks, we want to sort of lean toward the healthier aspect. Oh. And there has to be a balance. I mean, the ratio has to be higher in favor of high nutrition, as opposed to higher in favor of low nutrition, which is, I think, based on what I see out there in the world today, I think, predominantly we're leaning more to what's convenient and what tastes good, and it's not always the healthy choices that win.
Yeah, absolutely. So establishing those habits, is it fairly well received from the young age? Like, or is it resistant, or is it well received?
Kids are pretty honest. If they don't like something, they're not gonna eat it. Yeah. So they're geared to use their senses. If it looks funny, then you're gonna have a hard time getting them to eat it. As long as it doesn't look too scary and it tastes good, they're gonna eat it. So the trick is to just make healthy things look good and taste good, and then.
So it is possible. Basically, what I was getting at. So perfect.
100% possible.
Yeah. Beauty. All right, my friend. Last question. A little case study here. So let's say there is a novice individual who wants to start a training program with you for 3 months. They sign up for 3 months. What are some of the myths as far as expectations that you would just like to bust right now? Be our little private myth buster session here. What are some myths that you would just like to have wiped off the board here?
I think that a lot of people, when they're at the point where they make the decision to hire a trainer to help them get more fit, whatever that means for them, everybody has their own why. Yeah. But a lot of people, I think, are expecting a lot right off the bat, and they don't really understand what it takes. Now, making little consistent changes in your daily habits is going to have a huge, everlasting impact. But I think that sometimes people will make the decision to get a trainer, and they're with that trainer and they're doing great things in that hour time, but they're not following through with some of the nutrition recommendations that the trainer's making, or they're not doing their mobility homework. Let's say if we're working on something like hip mobility, they're not doing their homework on a regular basis. The truth is, I mean, it's work. It's a workout. It's called a workout for a reason. It is work, but little sort of concerted effort, consistently made time after time after time, is going to amount to big and better things. And as it gets easier, we're always going to make it more challenging and always going to challenge things so that they're going to continue to progress. So I think that one of the biggest myths, to make a long story short, is really that people sort of expect a lot from doing very little. Now, I'm not saying that you need to come in it and live and breathe fitness 100%. I'm just saying that every day you owe it to yourself to be better than the previous day. So when you're in the gym on your own, just because you don't have your trainer there, I mean, you should be thinking in terms of how was I doing this the last time, and can I make this a little bit more challenging? Whether it's last time I walked on the treadmill at a 2% incline, today I'm going to do it at a 3% incline. I'm just going to make it a little bit more challenging.
Absolutely.
In terms of nutrition, maybe you have a goal of just consuming more vegetables. So yesterday I had 3 servings of vegetables. Today I'm going to go for 4. And just every day, just try to be a better version of yourself the previous day. I would never ask somebody to go from do a full 180 overnight, because I think that's unrealistic and that's going to really set people up for failure. But I just think that small, consistent changes over time, I mean, that's going to lead to great things.
Yeah. Good. So slow and steady wins the race for that one. Good stuff.
It's really a lifestyle, and that's what we're promoting. And I mean, you and I are very alike in terms of how we treat clients and people that we're working with. You know, we're very supportive, and I think we want them to understand that this is a lifestyle change. It's not, you know, reach your goal in that 3-month period and then just drop off the face of the earth and never do anything again until something happens. As a society, I think we're very reactive, and I think if you just sort of, you know, get to a point where you can just continue to progress efficiently, then it becomes easier and easier.
Good, well said.
If that makes any sense.
It makes total sense. That's great. All right, guys. This is Sean. Chris. Chris has been a successful trainer for many years in Barrie. He's on his way to becoming a registered holistic nutritionist. And thank you very much for watching. Thanks for being here, Chris.
Thanks, buddy.
And
Thanks
we
for having
will
me.
see you next time.